morning, class, the receiving school students with your teachers.
Good morning, Mrs. Wakalas.
How are you all this morning?
We are very well, thank you. And how are you this morning?
I'm very well, just like you. Thank you. You may sit down. Now let's have a look at once more at our phrase for this week. Phrase that we have had all throughout the week. If I can have Helen, if you can tell us what a phrase is and also something that you can about that phrase. Okay, Helen.
What you eat and be careful on what you eat.
Okay, so our phrase is watch what you eat, and Helen says you have to be careful with what you eat, the type of food that you eat, because food can cause disease, and there are so many things that contribute to not eating good food or the right types of food. Now we are still on nutrition, and in the previous lesson we had guest speakers, two of them, and those guest speakers are lecturers in their field of work, and they especially deal with nutrition and other things. So you have had the two guest speakers, and you had whatever they had to teach you about, and basically it was on nutrition. And so I'd like someone, if you can tell me what nutrition is. Anyone who can tell me what nutrition is? Okay, Anna. What is nutrition?
Food and nutrients and how the body uses.
Good. So that is the definition for what nutrition is. Receiving school students in the class, we have the definition on the whiteboard, so if you can get it done quickly before we can go to the other activities. Now, our lesson today is going to be a follow-up. Now, every one of you should know very well what happens in a follow-up lesson, especially when we have guest speakers and when we view tapes. If I can have Tassie to tell us, what do we really do in a follow-up lesson? What do we really do in a follow-up lesson?
Revise.
Very good, revising. Okay, we revise or we reflect or recap back to whatever has been taught or whatever we have had and we have seen. So once again, this lesson is on follow-up of the guest speakers we had, and there will be different activities, actually different tasks in a form of questions for every group. Now, questions are different for every group, and I'd like the class and the receiving students, you have your question written. If you are in group 1, that is your question. Okay, that is how we are going to go through to the last group. So when you see the group number and whatever the question is or whatever you are to do, that is what you will be working on for the activity part. So we have, actually you will be, whatever is there, you are supposed to be working together as usual in a group, discuss about it, and have your answers written. And a reminder there is that all the questions are based on what you have heard from the guest speakers. Now, that is why were told earlier that you were to take note, listen and take note of anything the guest speakers have said or anything the guest speakers have written on the board. And I hope class and the receiving school students have done that. Now group 1, that is your question, and I'd like the recorder from the group to have that question recorded. And as it is group 1's question, I'd like Rick, if we can, Riku, to read for us that question. Their question. And group 2, if you can get ready for your question.
Explain the importance of eating nutritious diet.
Okay, explain the importance of eating nutritious diet, meaning what is important about eating nutritious diet. That is a group 1, your question. Now, diet actually is talking about meals, the type of meals that you have. And we normally have about 3 main meals. And that is, the first one we have, Trisha, what is the first main meal in a day?
Breakfast.
Breakfast, good. The second one, yes, Shane?
Lunch.
Lunch, good. And the last, Harold, the last main meal?
Dinner.
Right, dinner. So diet is actually talking about meals, so don't get yourselves confused. Group 2, I'd like the recorder to have your question written, and we will have Gail to read the question for us. Question 2 for group 2.
Describe what a nutritious diet is.
Describe what a nutritious diet is. Okay? So that's very simple. You're supposed to talk about it, and then you write what a nutritious diet is. Group 3, your question, Adrian, if you can read your question as your recorder records that.
Explain why it's important to have nutritious diet daily.
Nutritious
Diet daily.
Okay, if you can read the question again, please, Adrian.
Explain why it's important.
Have a nutritious diet, okay? Thank you. That's your question, group 3, the class, and also the receiving school students. Group 4, that's your question, and I'll have Tulanga to read that, and we'll also have the recorder to record that. Tulanga.
Identify the nutrients found in staple foods and high energy foods.
Right, thank you. You were told of the different nutrients in those 4 different food groups that you looked at in the previous lesson with a guest speaker. So group 4, you are to write the nutrients for the 2 first food groups, and that's staple foods and high energy foods. We'll have a group 5. Group 5, that is your question, and we'll have Doveri, if you can read it for us.
Identify the nutrients that are found in protein food,
And
vegetables, and fruit.
right, good, thank you. Now, your question is identical or same as the group 4's. You're actually to write the nutrients for those 2 food groups. Let's have group 6 to get ready. And group 6, your question, I hope you listened and took note of what Mrs. Kageni tried to explain to you about this. Okay, let's have Tassi read that, please.
Describe what malnutrition is.
Malnutrition. Okay. If we can have Tassi, if you can just say properly again, malnutrition. Describe what malnutrition is.
Malnutrition.
The whole question.
Describe what?
Okay? Now, that's not funny. You have to learn to say the words correctly, pronounce it correctly. Okay, so that is what group 6 you will be doing. Let's have group 7, and we'll have Edward to read. Please, Edward. Group 7.
List 2 foods from each of the 4 food groups.
Right, good, thank you. It says you have to list 2 foods from each of the 4 food groups. Now, you have heard of those 4 different food groups, and I hope you took note of that. And so your activity or your task is to write 2 foods for each of those 4 food groups. And those are the tasks or the questions assigned for every group to do. As usual, you will be given 10 minutes. 5 minutes is for discussion, 5 minutes for having it written down. And we'll have your reporter ready to report your group's discussion. If I can have the runners, please. One.
One each.
One each. If you need another, you can come up and pick one up. Yeah, if you think that you need 2, you can get 2. That's okay, you can use that. Whiteboard, but that's all right, you can use that. I hope the noise is coming from our discussion. Don't forget 5 minutes is for discussion and 5 minutes for having your discussion written on the paper. Okay. You can write about two importance if you want to. If you want to write it point by point, yeah, you can write point by point, or else you have a statement of the importance of a nutritious diet. What's your question? Describe what a nutritious diet is. Okay, good.
Can you give me 2 from
There. You have your answer there? Okay, good. Have it written. Explain why it's important to have a nutritious diet daily. So have you already discussed about? Already, so you should be having it written on the paper. Your recorder should be having it recorded, because we want every group to present their answers, so you have to start writing it down. You already have.
Okay, write it like
Underline it so you can make a box. Say, just put it in the box.
it comes with fats and sugar.
Okay, good.
Fats and sugar. Fats and sugar. It comes with
Come up with your answers? Yes. Already, okay, good. Have it written down. Here you have the other food group. There you have the other, and then have your food written underneath. You can do that. Good. And your son? Who is going to be your... Okay, that's nice. So, see what you have.
high energy.
Have you come up with your answer? Okay, can I have a... Oh, you are... You have one, okay. So I hope you took note of Mrs. Akageni. She did explanation on that. Okay, good. Okay, what's our question? Group 7? Okay, so what are you supposed to be doing? I can't see anything on your paper yet. Or discussing, or thank you. Okay, then you have to move your hands quickly. Okay, you have your food groups written while waiting. So once you have your identify the food, then you just write your food next to the food groups. Okay. Have your food groups written now while waiting. You finished. Okay, group 2 finished. You should start writing because you're always the first group now. Write it while it's written, so by the time it finishes, so whatever is written, somebody can read while another one, the recorder, records it. I hope you have your reporters ready, and make sure you have somebody different. Everyone in the group have to be given that opportunity. We cannot have same people from the group all the time. Your presentation. You finished yours? Who is reporting? Which your reporter? Gail. Okay. Let's see yours.
It's important to have a nutritious diet each day because it helps us going out of the day.
Yeah, you can have that also as your answer too.
Yeah, that's our answer.
Oh, okay. How many do you have? One. Okay, while you're waiting, try and think up of another one.
I only want it.
Explain why it's important to have a nutritious diet daily. You could have more than one reason. I can think of more than one.
Oh, I got only one. Sorry.
Because you have one. Yeah, that's a nice one. Okay, you can have that one. Comes in. Have it written. I hope group 1 is ready. We will You've already completed yours. Who is presenting? Okay, good. Doweri. And who is presenting from here? Gina, Doweri, Raymond, Gail. Oh.
I'm right. Receiving or picking good.
Okay, class, we should be all finished with all our answers to whatever questions we have been assigned to do. And I'll repeat once again. We are going to go in order from 1 to 7. So we'll have group 1 to present this. Now listen, class, your reporter, when he or she comes up, I'd like you have to start your answer with whatever question you have been assigned to do. Now example, group 7, when they come up, they can say, we were to list down 2 foods from each food group, and this is what we have. And that's how you present. Now, a lot of the times we just come up, we put our papers up there and say, our first answer is this, second answer is this. So please, I'd like you to do your presentation well and properly. So our friends from group 1, are you ready? And group 2, you also get ready, so once they finish, we don't take time. So once our query finishes, we have yours out. Okay, we have query. We have query from group 1 to present what they got as their answer for their question. Or they're still discussing? So what your answer, both on paper and in the book? Oh, okay, come here. Sorry, queries running around trying to get the paper where they have written their question. Okay, query.
Explain the importance of eating nutritious diet. The importance of nutrients diet is because nutritious diet is because it contains a balance of the four food groups and also the nutrients and help the body to grow big and strong, and also to help the functions of the body.
Very good. Thank you. Good answers. Good. Let's have group 2. We have Gail from group 2. Do you have your question there with you? Oh, okay. Over here.
Our question is, describe what a nutritious diet is, and we come up with the answer is, a nutritious diet is made up of the foods from the four food groups with high value. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Gail. Group 3, please. Thank you. We have Regina from group 3.
Our question for group 3 is, explain why it's important to have a nutritious diet daily. And our answers, it is important to have a nutritious diet daily because it gives us energy to go all throughout the day and to stay strong and healthy.
Very good. Thank you. Group 4, please. William from group 4.
Our activity was to find out the different nutrients found in staple food and in energy food, and they are carbohydrates, fat and oil, energy, fat and sugar.
Okay, good. Thank you. Identification of nutrients. Let's have group, 5. Doveri from group 5.
for protein food is protein, and veggies and fruit is vitamin, minerals, and fiber.
Okay, thank you, Doveri. Their question, once again, was just the same as group 4 to identify nutrients for the next two food groups, and that's what they have come up with. We'll have group 6, please. Put yourself there. We have Rachel from group 6.
We've got a chart on the wall, and our question is, describe what malnutrition is. Okay, for understanding, mal means bad, not the course that we are taking, and malnutrition is the bad substance that is found in the food.
Very good, thank you. Malnutrition. You have had it explained well by Rachel from group 6. Thank you. We'll have group 7. Our last question. Francis from group 7.
For group 7 is 4 food groups, and it's staple food. For staple food is high energy foods, fish and coconut. Protein is chicken and pig. Vegetables and fruit is orange and carrot.
Well, thank you. So they were to list down 2 foods from each of the 4 food groups. Good, thank you. Now let's see if you can still, we've already had some, try to answer some of the questions based on what we have heard from our guest speakers. And I'll just ask one more question. Now, we only know, these days, we only know of, previously, we only know that there are about 3 main food groups. But at this time, the 3 main food groups is no longer there. We have this time 4 food groups. And you have heard that from your guest speakers in the previous lesson. So if I can have someone to come up and you write for us on the whiteboard those 4 food groups. Okay, we have Messi for the first 2 and Shane for the next 2, please. Okay, give it to her and Messi will write this. Okay, good. Thank you, Messi. So those are 2 of the 4 food groups. We'll have Shane to write the next 2. Good, thank you. So those are the 4 food groups now. What were those 3 groups known as? Those are food groups, 3 food groups that we all know of. And that's why when our guest speakers asked us, we started thinking of what we know. Yes, Shane.
Previously, they were known as protective food, protein, and energy food.
Very good. So previously, they were known as energy, and protective. Okay, that is what they were known as. We normally teach about teachers in the receiving schools. You are very privileged, and I hope you have taken note of that from the guest speakers that we have had. Earlier or previously, that is what we know of. And I actually taught the previous students that went through only those 3 food groups. However, this is the latest group that we have. So teachers try to emphasize on these 3 food groups that the 4 food groups we have, the latest food groups that we have. And our next lesson activity is still going to be on nutrition. It's still going to be on nutrition. And if I can have Nigel to tell us what our key phrase for our lesson is.
Follow up on guest speaker.
Very good. Follow up of guest speaker. And with that, class, the receiving school students, with all your teachers, good morning to you all.
Receiving school teachers, here's your reference for the next lesson. Strand, substrand, outcome, topic, materials, and reference.